So I was discussing a client who is a content creator, and he was so concerned as how this new tax administration, starting from January 1st, 2026, is going to affect content creators and those who are self-employed. So I said, let me just make this video to, guide some of the content creators, movie makers, YouTubers, and even musicians, anybody who makes money from streaming platform or from any digital platform. So for the purpose of this, I will need a whiteboard because we will do a lot of mathematics, and my marker and a duster. So the NTA, which is the Nigerian Tax Act 2025, was just passed into law this year, this year, and it's going to come in force from 1st of January 2026. Introduce some new tax provisions, altered previous ones, and consolidated on previous tax laws, and made it more compulsory, or will I say increase the tax net to bring in new persons which the previous tax laws didn't properly provide for. So going straight to the video without trying to waste so much time. So if you're a content creator, you're a YouTuber, a musician, you make money from all the social media or digital platform, there's something you are very conversant with, which is called withholding tax, which is the 30% of US sourced income or sourced revenue that's being withheld. So in this case, let's just use YouTube. So if you own a YouTube channel and you have a lot of foreign viewers, you will be very conversant with this phenomenon of withholding tax. Some persons, if you check my previous videos, I explained it and how that tax works. I don't want to go into details with that. This new tax dispensation recognizes that you have paid tax already on this revenue, and when you are going to calculate your Nigerian tax, that tax you have paid to a foreign government, we count in Nigeria as a tax credit. Now, you may be confused, what is a tax credit? To properly explain it to you, that's why I'm with a whiteboard. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set an example, and we're going to create an illustration and try to see if we explain it to you so you can understand it and put your heart at ease. So for the illustration, we're going to use a fictitious person, Peter. You're about to see the best handwriting in the world. So this is Peter. So Peter is a YouTuber, and he made in 2026 $20,000. You can see he made $20,000, but mind you, YouTube didn't pay him $20,000. YouTube paid him $18,000 and withheld $2,000 as US tax withholding. US withholding. Now, this is what came to his account, and this is what he made, and this is what was withheld to the US government. Now, for tax purposes in Nigeria, the tax act says this is the one he's going to report, not this that came to his account, but what he actually made, which is $20,000. So for you to calculate it in Naira, you have to calculate at the prevailing CBN rate at the time each of these payments came in. So your accountant can always do that calculation for you. So for this case, we're going to say 1.5. So the US dollar is 1,500 times 20,000 is equals to 30 million naira. So for tax purposes in Nigeria, Peter made 30 million naira. Now, he's a YouTuber. He has to edit his videos. He has to rent camera, rent equipment, lights, pay some staffs, and spend money on marketing and other things. And those amounts to, for 2026, okay, before we go into it, he has $2,000 that has been withheld that we cannot calculate here. So we'll just remember it in our mind that he has 3 million, because we will do 1,005 times $2,000. It's going to be 3 million. So this is just going to be in our mind. So, but the purpose of calculation, we're going to be working with this 20,000. So remember, we said he spent 10 million naira in expense. You are seeing a master at work, a very good handwriting. So that is 10 million naira minus this. we have 20 million naira in profit for the year 2026. Now, Section 30 and Section 31 of the Tax Act provide that an individual can make some deductions, contributions made to the National Health Fund, for your pension fund, and some other things that a lot of people don't do. I know you don't contribute to that. Well, what actually affects everybody that was permitted under those sessions, is 20%. You can deduct 20% of your rent up to the max of 500,000. So let us assume in this case, Peter rent is 3 million naira. 3 million naira, 20% of it is 600,000. But the law says the max you can deduct is 500,000. So he's going to have to forget 100,000. He's going to only be able to deduct 500,000 from this money. So it's going to equals to 19,500,000 naira. So this is Peter's profit for 2026. Now we're going to move to calculate what his tax liability is going to be. Remember, we have 3 million naira. It looks like 13 million. I told you this is one of the best handwriting. So he has 3 million here. That is still on the weight. This is a tax credit. It's called a foreign tax credit. Let me put it here as a foreign tax credit. So it's going to, when we calculate the tax, we're going to use minus deduct this 3 million naira from whatever the tax liability is. So now let's calculate the tax. So he has 19.5 million naira. So now Peter has 19,500,000 naira in profit. Now this new tax act introduced some rates. It's a bit higher than what it is before, but I think more structured. So before I go into stating how this is going to be taxed, I think I should state how the bracket is. 0 to 800,000 naira, it's at 0%, and 800,000 naira to 3 million, which means is 15%. The former act, it's 7%. The second bracket was 7%, but it was not at this figure. Now, the next from 3 million to 12 million is at 18%. That's quite high. So 12 million to 25 million is at 21%. That is the new tax law. Then anything above 25 million, then any amount above 25 million is at 25%. So mind you, he earned 19.5 million. He's a big boy. His first 800,000 in his 19.5 million is 0%. So here is 0. And then the 2.2 million naira is 15% of 2.2 million. Let me take this again for those who may not understand. In calculating the tax for this 19.5 million, the first 800,000 naira is taxed at 0. Then between 800 to 3 million, which is 2.2 million, that means the next 2.2 million is taxed at 15%, which is 330,000. Okay. Then from 3 million to 12 million, that means any money that falls into this bracket from his money. Now, mind you, now was calculated about 3 million naira of his money. So it's remaining. I'm even getting confused. It's remaining 16.5 million. So 16.5 million, the balance still falls under here, right? So which means the next 9 million is fine if you are confused. So any amount of money that falls within this 3.5 million, so from this 3 million to 12 million in that 19.5 million will be taxed at 18%. That means the 9 million will now fall under as a tax of 1 million, if I'm correct, 1,620,000. Then his balance will then remain 7.5 million, if I'm correct. right? No. 3 million, 12 million. So yeah, 7.5 million. Its balance will remain 7.5 million. So tax of 7.5 million is going to be 1 million. At 21%, it's going to be 1,575,000. Now, the money is not up to 25 million, so this 25 million tax didn't count. So we're going to now have to add this up to get its total tax. So the total tax, if we add up all this 330,000 with 1,620,000 and 1,575,000, that would be 3,525,000 naira. 3,525,000 naira. So now remember, he has a tax credit of 4 million naira. A tax credit of 3 million naira, sorry. He has a tax credit of 3 million naira because YouTube has withheld $2,000 to the United States government, so which means he has a tax credit of 3 million. So, mind you, his tax liability is 3,525,000. Because he has paid 3 million to the United States government, he has to deduct that here. And have to deduct 3 million. So his tax liability is 3,525,000. And we're going to deduct the tax credit from amount being paid to the amount withheld by YouTube. That means 3 million. If we deduct that, we're going to have 525,000 naira. Now, that would be the amount that Peter would pay in tax. Now, mind you, this is the provision of the Act, but when you are filing this, the NTAA, that means the Nigerian Tax Administration Act, allows that for a self-employed person to do self-assessment, but you have to provide evidence of this 3 million, that means this money, that this money was actually withheld. So you have to bring your YouTube statement where it's being withheld, and that you have to file to prove the claim that this is actually was spent. Also, you also have to, in the one we discussed about the expense, that means the 500,000, you also have to bring proof that your rent is at this rate as well. You have to bring evidence of what your rent is. So if you want to take any of all those claims, or deduct any of those amount of money, or apply the tax credit, you need to bring evidence of them as well. So this is what Peter, a YouTuber, is going to pay in tax. So if you're a content creator, a YouTuber, filmmaker, a musician, as long as you make money from social media, please get a tax executive, keep your books, that means do bookkeeping, every expense, consult a tax professional. You can as well work with law firms, like my law firm. We're a full service law firm, so we have a team dedicated on tax. Work with a law firm or a group of lawyers who have expertise in tax matters, especially as it relates to creative industry, so as you don't overpay. As a content creator, as a business person, as somebody who is a taxable person as provided by the law, you should get a tax professional by your side, so as they can properly structure your business and your business activities, so as you pay the barest minimum in tax. You're not going to evade tax, you're going to just pay the barest minimum, so as you will not overpay. So I would advise you all to get a lawyer, and get a very smart one who is conversant with the tax laws and the provisions of the Tax Act, so as they can properly structure your activities to the best. So remain blessed. If you have any question, if you don't understand, I expect you not to understand most of the things being said there, you can reach out to me on my DM and I will reply, and I'm going to explain those issues, or if necessary, make a video on them. So